understood what he actually meant. After understanding that he was actually proposing, he decided to double down, begging her to marry him. Lu smiles at him, saying that she wants to stay with him forever. He drags her to bed for another one-night stand. The next day, he used the long stick on his hoe to cultivate babies with his new hoe. They sit next to each other and stare at the trees growing, but the spider begins ringing the alarm again. Hiraku runs over and wonders why he's feeling deja vu. He frees the angel girl and thinks that this story is about to get real interesting with all the plot development. Lu tries sneaking away, but the angel girl has finally found her and is ready to come drag her away, so the dogs eat her out.
What do you mean by that?
She's surprised Lu has been hiding inside the forest and is angry that she climaxed after the dogs ate her out. Lu is also angry that she climaxed when the dogs ate her out, and Hiraku wonders why getting injured would lead to them climaxing. The angel girl wonders who this man is, and Lu blushingly introduces him as her husband. While her face burns redder than a tomato, Giant Plot Cannons introduces herself as Tia, and she's come to find Lu because there's a bounty on her head. She was constantly researching different concoctions and kept blowing up the kingdom whenever something didn't go her way. Who reveals this was the reason she was in the middle of the forest on that day, so she bent over the table and asked Tia if she would like to start living here. She promises to show her all of the crops, like Hiraku's eggplant next to their round peaches.
Out of pocket for that shit. Way out of pocket.
Lu goes on to show her around the farm, and Hiraku tries to teach her how to cut cabbage out. After cutting it, he prepared it as a meal and sprinkled some salt on it before handing it to her. She thought it was delicious, and after a long day of farming, they cleaned themselves up using their magical abilities. Inside his house, she tried strawberries for the first time, and Lu told her that they'll be showing her how to make a strawberry cream pie next. She grabbed onto her arms, begging her to live here with them because her body can't handle everything if she's alone. This was the beginning of their life together. Tia thinks she's enjoyed the strawberry cream pie, so she asks him for more strawberries, but Hiraku thinks expanding even more right now would result in spoiled food. While they continued walking, Hiraku noticed Kuro's new puppies and decided to build a stable for them in the open field next to their farm. After he was done, he noticed all of Zabuton's children casting their silk to fly away. At the same time, Tia told him that she's also going to be leaving for a while, and started flying away on her wings. A few days later, Tia came back and brought even more girls to add to the harem. They're high elves, because they have giant plots, and all of them introduce themselves. They're also all related, so incest is going to prevail in this plot. Hiraku wonders why there aren't any guy elves, but Tia reveals the sad reality they've had to endure. During the last Great War, their entire male population was destroyed, and they've been roaming the woods until now. Their only wish is to repopulate now, and beg Hiraku to help them out. With the village's population increasing, Hiraku began building them a house for all of them to live together. Their skills in construction and woodworking allowed them to build the house within just 10 days, and they thought it's much nicer than Hiraku's dirt shack. However, at the very least, he wishes that in this spacious house, they can feel safe and at peace. As the days pass, the elf leader wants to thank him for letting them stay here by mining and blacksmithing for him, so they begin building a furnace in the earth. After processing the iron, Hiraku sees the metal pots they've created, and they tell him that they can do all kinds of things after living in the wild for 200 years. Still, the only thing they've wished to be able to do was to settle down and reproduce.
じゃあ一つはクリアだな。
Hiraku thought it would be for the best to avoid having plot development with all the elves, and stayed a typical anime protagonist. While farming one day, the elf girls noticed that he has a giant wheat field, and one of them asked him if she could make some bread, telling him she has the rarest yeast in the lands. Hiraku was excited, so the girls began baking bread and turned it into breadsticks for Hiraku to try out. At the same time, they all wonder if Hiraku's plot is this long and tasty. Now that he's finally able to make some bread, he would like to expand the wheat fields, but he realizes that their expansion is starting to get out of control. He asks Lu who owns this land, and she tells him that while nobody owns it, it's probably under the Demon Lord's control. However, since he created all of this land without support, this land belongs to Hiraku. At night, the girls gather and wonder how Hiraku's been able to tame the Inferno Wolves and the Demon Spider. Even these crops shouldn't be able to grow in this soil, and they begin wondering why he has no knowledge about their world. At the same time, Hiraku's realized that he hasn't been building the waterway in a long time, so he decides to make it tomorrow's mission. In the morning, Hiraku sees Zabuton pointing towards a queen bee, and Hiraku decides to build a bee house for them to create honey for him. He spends the entire afternoon preparing a reservoir. They began mass-producing the concrete waterway. The elf girls bent over to make sure that all of them were placed in the correct spot. While they focused on doing the hard things, Hiraku filled all of their holes with his hard hammer. Because of their efficiency, the waterway was finished within a single day, and the reservoir was already filled. This should allow them to water the crops a lot easier. But Hiraku noticed that the reservoir was also getting him fish without doing any work. He thought that even though the rabbits were dangerous in this forest, at least the fish were peaceful. But a giant fish nearly devoured him right then. The girls saw him cooking the fish, and knowing that it was from the forest of death, they wondered if it was truly safe to eat. Hiraku finished preparing it and tried giving them some, but they told him that they wanted a different kind of meaty dinner. Hiraku had no idea what type of meat they were talking about, so he began eating it and thought it was delicious. Both of the girls tried it and thought it was delicious, and the rest of the elves wanted some of his meat. Giggity. To satisfy all of them, Hiraku began capturing more fish and preserving them with salt. Wishing to expand their diet, Hiraku tried tilling the ground while thinking about rice, and while it managed to grow, the texture of the rice was off. Since they have an entire waterway built, he decided to begin building a rice paddy with the elves. After mending the ground for hours, Hiraku released all of the girls' floodgates. Sorry, I meant he released the floodgate and asked the elf girls for their help. All of the elf girls started getting wet and Leah didn't like the slimy liquid. Together, they all bent over and planted all of the rice plants. A few days later, all of the plants were ready for harvest, and Hiraku put them up for drying. Leah was impressed that he knew all of this, but Hiraku's grateful that he always watched a farming idol before he died with cancer. Once all the plants were dried up, Hiraku used his farming tool to create a thresher and showed them how to harvest the rice. The girls saw all the work it took to prepare the rice and wondered if he was finally done. But Hiraku revealed that there's one more step. He prepared to cook the rice and asked Lu to use her magic to light up the fire, so she prepared to release her ultimate blast to burn everything to smithereens. But he told her to calm down, disappointing her. With a small flame, Hiraku cooked the rice until it was finally ready and created it into rice balls for the girls to taste. Lu decided to take a bite.
Fucking hell.
The girls thought it was disgusting and regretted doing all that work this whole time. But Hiraku knew they were lying when all of the rice was gone. He decided to expand the rice farm, and all the girls began cleaning up after they were done. How the f does that even happen? Hiraku sees how they can all clean themselves with magic, and wishes he had a bath to clean up. Since he's finally built a waterway, he decided to build a bath, and showed the girls his blueprints for how he was going to design the plumbing. The girls wondered why they would do all this if they could just swim in the river, but Hiraku reminded them that they would freeze in the winter. Plus, he really wanted a bath for health and totally not to stare at them without any plot armor. The girls